We are coming to you live from $1 Million Studios. Your boys, Chris Speez,
a.k.a. White Lightning.
And the benchmark of professional wrestling, Mr. Silky Baines.
That would make me Black Thunder.
Speez and the Benchmark Show on a Thursday night, October the 11th, 2018. Thank you so much for being with us. All of you joining us here on Periscope and the YouTubes. And for those of you listening to us after the fact on the podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere you can hear your favorite podcast. You can hear the Speez and the Benchmark Show. And, of course, we always welcome you to call into the program. 832-937-4559 is the number to get in.
Or
That's
832-93-SILKY.
832-93-SILKY gets you in on the phone line. So, big weekend coming up for us. It is the prodigal son, David Spizak's birthday tomorrow.
Ooh,
He turns 14 tomorrow. Can you believe that?
Jesus Christ.
I look
You're
too good
old.
to be having a 14-year-old.
No. No, you look exactly like you should have a
Not good.
14-year-old.
So anyway, happy early birthday to my
Now,
boy, the prodigal son, the sometimes host of the Speez and the Benchmark Show.
Now, I don't
David
look
Spizak.
like I could have a kid that's 13, 14.
If you say so.
No,
So,
fuck you.
happy early birthday
Speaking
to
of
him.
birthdays, shout out. Right now, our call screener DJ, he's not with us today because today's his birthday as well.
It is his
so
birthday.
happy birthday, DJ, and happy birthday to his daughter, Sydney, because they are both sharing birthdays, so probably sucks for him, but hey.
Hey, happy
But
birthday
it's still
to both
great.
of them. And welcome to all of you joining us here. I Love Budweiser with us here so far, and everybody else who's with us over on Periscope. You want to shout them out there, Silky?
Chris Surratt, Mr. Stone Cold Stunner, Babaruski, and 4 other motherfuckers we can't see.
A bunch of people we can't see. There's folks over on the YouTubes as well we can't see. Folks are coming in. We encourage you to share the program and tweet it out to your followers as well.
At Memphis_Bell just joined us.
All right. Welcome, Memphis Bell. Loved your movie. Chris Surratt, what's up to you, sir? Hey, listen.
That's
okay.
a white reference that I didn't get.
The movie, Memphis Bell. You don't remember Memphis Bell?
Was that a white movie?
I don't know if it would qualify as a white movie.
Who's
per
the
se,
star of the
Silky.
movie?
Oh, shit, I don't know. It's a bunch of white guys.
Yeah. Who's the director?
But that's not to say it was a white
guy.
movie.
It was a white movie. I've never heard of that fucking movie.
Okay, well, if Silky's never heard of it, it must be a white movie. So, but I like Memphis Bell. It's a good flick. So, another thing we got to start working on. Now, look, they say, proverbial they, whoever they may be, that the first 100 subscribers of anything are the toughest subscribers that you'll ever get. And we've gotten up over 100 on Periscope. We're up to like 160 or something like that. Doing very well on Periscope. I'm very excited about that, as you should be, Silky. Doing a good job there.
Yes, we are.
But we are lagging behind a little bit on the YouTube channel. So what we need you folks to do is head on over to the YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/SpeezBenchmark, and just hit that subscribe button. And if you know somebody who's a wrestling fan, they don't know about the show, tell them about the show. We're working on getting to that 100 subscriber count. I
Boom.
seriously believe that's the toughest thing going. And you guys have been awesome about everything else, so we figured we'd throw it out there. Spread the good word about the Speez and the Benchmark Show and try to get it out there. tinyurl.com/SpeezBenchmark. Yeah, I'm with you, Babaruski. White movie, because that's just Silky.
You can't even tell me what's the movie about.
It's about the Memphis Belle, which was a plane that used to fly bombing missions over the Germans during World War II. And if you flew a certain number of missions, then all the guys on that plane got to go home. And so the Memphis Belle was the first plane to finish their missions. And it's about their last mission, their last bombing mission that they had.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds like
It was a war movie. It wasn't a white movie. It was a war movie.
Sounds like a white movie. I mean, not saying that means it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it sounds like a white movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie, though.
I mean,
definitely worth a watch. So we already got callers coming in all over the place. We got all kinds of stuff. So if you need rain, say, we know who's waiting for us. We're going to get to you, caller, in just a moment here. But there's one thing. Hello to Brooke and Heather.
And David.
Heather being Sasha Reigns. And David over on the YouTubes. Welcome to all of you. And to all of you now joining us on the Periscopes as well. Once again, we thank you for being with us. We hope you'll consider sharing the program. We got to get to this first before we begin, Silky, because I mentioned this to you earlier. We saw quite possibly the most horrific drop kick in the history of drop kicks that took place in the most unlikely of places. Now, here's the setup, folks. I don't know if you're aware that there is some manner of beef, apparently, between the Insane Clown Posse,
ICP, Shaggy 2 Dope, and Violent J,
and Limp Bizkit. of Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit, the greatest promo in WWE history for WrestleMania 17. They did the song My Way, for The Rock and Stone Cold. Best promo ever.
But
it was the best promo ever. Now, you say what you want about Limp Bizkit's music. That was a great promo.
I mean, it's all right.
Apparently, there's still...
If you like rock, like traditional rock, like rock I imagine you listen to, like Metallica, Black Sabbath, that type of shit, then no, you're not going to like Limp Bizkit. No. Limp Bizkit is like rock light.
Well, it's like the rock rap connection thing.
Yeah, it makes it more palatable for people who don't like the hardcore.
Yeah, I'm with you. So here's the setup. So apparently this guy, Shaggy 2 Dope, and I'm not bullshitting you, that's what this fucking guy calls himself. Shaggy 2 Dope. That's Shaggy, the number 2 Dope, which is very fitting, decided that he was going to get back at Fred Durst for this beef that they're having, which apparently was about some shit where Fred Durst back at the old Woodstock, not the old Woodstock, the newer remake Woodstock.
The shitty Woodstock, yes.
The shitty Woodstock, where Fred Durst basically, helped encourage people to start lighting shit on fire and starting riots and shit, because peace and love. Apparently they had asked, the Limp Bizkit guys had asked the ICP guys, this is according to some dude on Reddit. So you know how credible, I'm sure he's broken way, a lot of blockbuster stories there. Some guy on Reddit. So some guy on Reddit says that Durst invites the ICP in under the guise of supposedly inviting them on the Vans Warped Tour, and then totally fucking big dogs them, like won't even look them in the eyes, like kind of being a dick to them, and then at the last minute says, fuck you guys, you're not coming on the tour. So we're being led to believe that they've held on to this for like 20 fucking years now, and Shaggy 2 Dope decides that at some concert where... I guess they still let Limp Bizkit play concerts.
I mean, I didn't even know if they were still doing music until I saw the video.
Yeah, so Fred Durst is out there on stage, and Shaggy 2 Dope decides he's going to get his revenge by drop kicking Fred Durst. All right, we're going to roll the video here, and Silky, I left our mics on so that we can talk through it. So here we go. It's coming kind of quick.
Okay. How do you miss a block? Like the motherfucker didn't even know it was coming. He just whiffed.
All right, now I set this up so we can watch it again in slow motion a couple of times. All right, so there's Durst singing. And for you guys who aren't seeing this, Shaggy jumps up, and it's like this love tap on the back of Durst's back with one foot, and one foot misses altogether.
It's so
bad.
And
he totally eats shit on the stage. And a bunch of security guys come out and start kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah,
it was the most horrible drop kick you've ever seen in your life.
Like, I mean, at that point, just do it like the Finn Balor drop kick. You could have drop kicked him in off the stage and, stopped the concert and, made a lot of people happy.
Yes. And thank you, Get the Tables, for all the super hearts. And yes, swing and a miss for sure. Brooke digs a lot of rock music. So, as most of us do. Chris Rott, glad you stopped in, sir. Good to see you. So, folks, 832-937-4559 is the phone number.
832-93-SILKY.
We're going to get on over to the phone lines here before we get started and talk to one of our regulars here. She is the Sasha Reigns correspondent here for the Speez and the Benchmark show.
Correspondent.
Sorry, Roman Reigns correspondent. Sasha Reigns here on the show. What's going on, Sasha? How are you?
I'm good.
Glad to hear it. What's going on? What's the latest on Roman? We know that's what you're calling about, so bring it.
John Cena knows why fans hate Roman. It's Cena believes she may be responsible for it.
She may be responsible. Are you on speakerphone? Because we're having a hard time understanding you if you're on speakerphone.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so go to regular phone and tell us one more time so that we can hear you a little better. I heard Roman might be responsible for it, but I didn't hear the first part.
John Cena knows why fans hate Roman. The supporters are at 25%, and Cena believes he may be responsible for it.
Well, I'm hearing a lot of John Cena comments about Roman Reigns, and Cena basically saying Roman Reigns is a big star, as you would expect him to say.
Yeah.
But he also said there's numbers there that back it up, which I'm assuming he's talking about merch sales and things like that.
I mean, he is, though. I mean, anyone who says that he's not is just fooling themselves, and they're doing it wrong, because Roman Reigns sells merchandise. He is all over their stuff. That's why they push him to the moon. As much as people hate it, you cannot argue the fact that he is the future right now. Like, They first, after The Rock left, they hitched their wagon to John Cena. Now John Cena's moving on. They're hitching that fucking wagon to Roman Reigns.
Like it or don't, that's where they're going.
Yeah.
So what else you got for us, Sasha?
And I'm also kind of sad that Dean Ambrose left the Shield because I think that is turning point for Dean.
I mean, I don't know if we could say he actually left the Shield.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's definitely, I think that's what they want people to believe. But I think if Dean was to leave the Shield, it'd probably be more violent than that. Because
I
it's
think
Dean
so, too.
fucking Ambrose. So.
I think so too. And thank you, Sasha, for the call. We appreciate it. We're gonna get along here because we got a lot of stuff to get to here on the program. But yeah, I mean, they left it as kind of a cliffhanger. I think they want people to believe that Ambrose may have in fact left. Mm-hmm. But I'm not entirely convinced myself. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. They've done a good job of at least making us think, oh hey, looks like Ambrose might have left. So shout out to Mac Diesel, who's with us and dropping super hearts as well. We appreciate that, and keep them coming, guys. Like I said, we're over 100,000, approaching 110,000 super hearts now.
And these bills need to get paid.
That's pretty impressive. I'm very excited about that.
We're really good.
We're getting there.
They're better because they're the ones giving it to us. So it's all you guys.
We very much appreciate that.
He said shamelessly pandering.
Let's get on to Smackdown Live 1000. That is coming up next week on Tuesday, and we've got several superstars that have already been announced. There's speculation as to more superstars who might be coming. We're interested to hear your thoughts, obviously, on what you think of the upcoming show. But the one match that folks seem to be talking about, we're going to see Rey Mysterio again.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio and Nakamura. That should be a decent match.
And this is a qualifying match.
Because of the fact that it's in the confines of WWE. So,
yeah. I
mean, I'm sure whatever match they put on Thursday or Tuesday, I should say, would be 100% better if it was done like in New Japan or a Ring of Honor type setting. But within the confines of what they're working with, it's going to be great. I'm pretty sure Mysterio will win to go on to this whatever the fuck the World Cup or wait, it's World Cup, right?
It is the Wrestling World Cup, yes.
Yeah, they really didn't put much thought into that.
Is it the International Wrestling? The International
I thought it was
World
just called
Cup?
the WWE World Cup.
Maybe it's the WWE World Cup, something like that, where allegedly we're supposed to. It's funny because a lot of people have been sort of fantasy booking this World Cup, and when you think about it, if you put just a minimal amount of effort into it, you could have really made this a really cool event and made people qualify for the event. For example, what's wrong with having Finn Balor versus Sheamus to represent Ireland in the World Cup? What's wrong with having Mysterio come back and face Andrade Cien Almas for a spot in the World Cup? What's wrong with Kevin Owens against whoever, Ty Dillinger, whoever you want to pick from Canada? I mean, you could set up a bunch of different qualifying matches.
And if they did that probably would be smarter because I hear World Cup, but I see how they're booking it, and it doesn't make me think international. It just makes me think star. They're trying to put all their stars in the World Cup. So, I mean, in this tournament that they just happen to call the World Cup, I think they should just focus more like you're saying on like having representatives from each country.
Yeah, I mean, they've got enough.
Because to me, it's more SmackDown versus Raw. Who's going to win? A person from SmackDown or Raw? Not what country is going to win? Is it going? I think. I mean, as much as we give TNA shit or the current Impact shit, they had it right when they had the actual World Cup when it was two teams of like an international team and an American team, and that's how they did it. And I think
because you hear World Cup and that's what you're thinking.
You think of like the World Cup in soccer, like every nationality.
And people were just throwing out names of, well, let's put this person from this country and this person from this country. And I think just randomly picking 8 people, I mean, you could have gotten away with it. But at the same time, when I started thinking about, hey, you could actually have qualifying matches with a couple of guys from these different companies fighting for a shot to get in, which would have been really cool. It would have been very exciting to see. So
it's Babaruski says, and at least next week we get Nakamura and Ray to get in. That'll add diversity.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
They're their affirmative action entries.
See where else they go. Yeah, I was trying to think of somebody who could fight Nakamura. The other guy that came to mind was if they could have brought up Hideo Itami, I guess. and had a Japanese representative.
I mean, if I was doing this, since we're going down the rabbit hole of fantasy booking, I would do it more like the TNA style, where I wouldn't have them fight each other. I'd have teams of like 3. And like I would have maybe done this long time ago and had it culminate at Crown Jewel.
Right.
I mean, it really feels like they just pulled this whole fucking tournament out of their ass.
It kind of does.
Just to add more star power to this Crown Jewel show. But if we're in the fantasy world, I would have started this weeks or maybe even months ago, had teams like, Nakamura bring up a Tommy, and maybe Kairi Sane as the female to represent Japan. I would have had Owens, Dillinger, maybe if Zayn is back, Sami Zayn to represent Canada,
right.
Cena, Angle, and
Randy Orton,
whatever, to represent America.
Probably wouldn't do heels and faces, but they could have figured it out.
They could have figured it out, and it would have been better, and then had the culmination of like a big mix. Whoever team gets the most points, we'd have to do it on a point system, like Team Japan versus Team America,
right. Right.
And then you have that big 6-man match, and winner gets the cup.
It would have been nice. And Brooke says she was thinking the same thing. Why they put guys like Orton, Mysterio, Cena, Hardy, Angle? There's a lot of guys that are American guys, with the exception of Mysterio there. And there's any number of scenarios that could have been cooler than what they did. But I'm not going to get too worked up about it. It's for the Saudi show. We're going to talk about the Saudi show here in a minute because, man, there's some trouble going on in Saudi Arabia. But let's get back to Smackdown Live 1000 for the time being. We heard that Edge and Christian will be back. Well, at least Edge will be back hosting a segment of Cutting Edge. So he'll be doing some manner of interview there. We'll see what he does. We've also got the return of Evolution, which we've known about for a little while now. I just saw on the WWE website, as I was getting ready for the show, that Michelle McCool is now officially being advertised on the WWE website as being there for SmackDown 1000. I don't think she's been mentioned on television as being there. Makes sense because Undertaker, in case we haven't mentioned, Undertaker is going to be there. And I'm also seeing that locally, Tori Wilson is being advertised as well, along with Vicky Guerrero and Teddy Long, which you kind of expect Vicky and Teddy to come back, seeing as they played a pretty big part over the years. So a lot of names coming back. One name in particular that doesn't seem to be brought up, and I'll be interested to know what everybody else thinks about this as well.
Well, we know what our boy Juanito would think about this.
Where is The Rock?
I mean, to me, it's almost like you can have it, obviously, because it's still 1,000 episodes, but it's foolish and you're doing it wrong.
If you don't have The Rock.
Yeah, if you do not have The Rock on this show. I mean, this show, for God's sakes, was named after one of his biggest catchphrases.
That's my point.
I mean, he main evented the first Smackdown event or taping.
Is that right? I don't even remember the first Smackdown main event.
You don't remember that? That was kind of a big deal. It was him against Triple H for the title.
There you go. That's
with
right.
Shawn Michaels as the referee. I mean,
that's right.
So he did that. I mean, there's so many contributions he had. I mean, for him to do not show up or do some pre-tape bullshit would be just kind of real disappointing.
Yeah, Bobarooski says he's too Hollywood, and I certainly hope that's not the case. Here's the thing. If he's not going to show up, I sincerely hope that he does not send in some pre-taped bullshit.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's an even bigger slap in the face than not showing up. Just say, hey, you know what, guys? I apologize. My schedule is such that I can't make it. I'll make it up to you down the road. Don't send some message in. It's just so, because at that point, what you're doing, you're sending in some pre-taped fucking message that you could have put out there on Instagram, because he's on Instagram all the fucking time putting videos up anyway. And you're taking time away from other guys on the show. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. Because I know Rock's watching, because he doesn't have anything better to do. He's watching Speez in the Benchmark because fucking hell, who doesn't?
He's a big fan of ours. He's a big fan of the Benchmark.
Don't send in some pre-taped shit, Rock.
Yeah.
Need to be there at the show.
Be there.
Mrs. Speez would even watch if The Rock was going to be there.
Yeah.
I got to hope.
The life-size cardboard cutout.
Exactly. Sitting right outside
the door.
$1 Million Studios here. I got to say that it would be... I really do hope that they can find a way to get him on the show and not have it spoiled.
Yeah.
Get him on the show, because in this day and age, it's damn near impossible to get a surprise appearance anywhere. I mean, they managed to pull it off with the Hardys, although even that was, people kind of expected it.
Well, I mean, with the Hardys, it was a different beast because I don't know if you expected it. You just kind of hoped, but at least, and I'm speaking for myself, it's like, oh, maybe they will. Nah, there's just no way, especially in the manner that they did, actually entering the ladder match. Because, I mean, if you follow wrestling like we do, and a lot of the people on the show do, you knew the day before they were literally just doing a ladder match, dropping the Ring of Honor tag straps to the Young Bucks.
To the Young Bucks, exactly.
So they did ladder matches 2 days in a row.
Yep. And they don't go half-ass on those ladder matches. If you remember that Jeff Hardy spot from the top of that ladder into
poor Sheamus. Like
Sheamus
I feel like
took
that
the
was
brunt of it, man.
Yeah, I feel like no one talked about how bad that was for Sheamus because even in the slow-mo, it's like bam.
Yeah, it did not look good. Adam Awesome says he's like Lesnar talking about The Rock. Yes, he doesn't give a shit about WWE, but he's fun to watch regardless. I totally agree. I'd watch that guy every time he comes back. So hopefully he's there. We shall see. SmackDown Live looks like a fun event. SmackDown 1000 looks like a fun event. Hopefully it lives up to the hype up to this point. We shall see. Now, Silky is rocking, for those of you who can't see because you're listening on the podcast, rocking the Bullet Club gear today. And we had but we're not fucking too sweet. No, we're not. Stop it. Stop it.
You don't like the OGs?
I do like the OGs.
So come on.
But I'm over the Bullet Club. Like I'm over the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club.
I think it's
time for the Bullet Club to go away.
I think this is going to bring back the heart of what the Bullet Club was when they started. And
hopefully.
Because I honestly see the Bullet Club Elite going away and just being called the Elite and then having the actual Bullet Club. Because I think it's stupid like NWO to have the separate things within.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand. It's gotten out of hand.
And I don't want them to do some WWE shit where they have a match for the rights to the name Bullet Club. No. That's stupid. But I think eventually down the line with, or at least if I was doing it, I'd have the Elite just drop Bullet Club and just be the Elite, and then adds another stable or faction to New Japan's roster, and then have the Bullet Club, because this is what the Bullet Club if you watch the promo Jay White did, I mean that was the essence of why he joined with them, was that he's taking it back to what Bullet Club was, which is for fuck rules. You know, we're going to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and we dare someone to try to stop us.
Yeah, and that's admirable. That's the Bullet Club that people like. I got to admit, I didn't watch the Bullet Club when they first came around because I wasn't watching New Japan, but
they were awesome.
Everybody talking about Finn Balor, Prince Devitt when he was there and when he founded the Bullet Club.
I want that so much
and
in
those
WWE.
Guys, because
not necessarily the Bullet Club, but I want that Prince Devitt character from starting the Bullet Club. That character.
Yeah, because
I want him in WWE.
What the fuck is Finn Balor doing right now?
Nothing.
I mean, he pulls the demon out once in a lifetime, and it's a big
for
deal.
Bullshit.
But the rest of the time, it's boring.
Yeah, they need to do something with him.
Would be nice.
Like probably one of their biggest, I think, lapse in judgment is not. And it could, I wonder how much of it is they pushed him to the moon. Remember, if you remember,
he got called up. Champion. He got called up.
He got called up that very night. He got called up. He main evented Raw. He won the main event to get the title match at SummerSlam.
Seth Rollins, and he beat Seth Rollins for the first ever title.
And he got hurt. And I wonder how much of that plays into why they haven't pushed him.
It's huge. It's huge.
And,
I mean, that's one of the big rumors is that
it really sucks because, it's not like he got hurt doing something stupid. Well, in a sense, I guess taking that corner power bomb in on the outside on the barricade is stupid, but you know what I mean? Like he didn't do like some elaborate flip over like Sin Cara where he blew out his knee. It was literally not even his fault to his extent. I don't
think it was his fault.
It was in a little bit. People are going to hate that consensus, but I've watched it back, and if you look, he clearly turns like this.
Yeah.
And and you can't argue with that because anyone who's wrestled knows it sucks when that's a move you have to what we call take it blind.
Yeah, you're flying through the air and you don't know when that rail is coming.
You're at the mercy of whoever. You've just got to hope that they've lined you up and they've thrown you properly so you can hit right. And for whatever reason, he felt like he wasn't, and he turned like this, and when he turned, bam, he came down across the rail and popped his shoulder.
Yeah, and that's a shame because and Bobaruski mentions that, as he says on Get the Tables, hello to Dr. As Bobaruski says on Get the Tables, if you get injured, it derails the push that you have or whatever. Here's the thing, I hear that a lot, but there are guys who get injured and come back and still get pushed to the moon. For instance, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I mean, Seth Rollins is the first one that comes to mind. It was much more prevalent back in the day. Well, hold on. It was much more prevalent back in the day when you had guys like, Triple H would get hurt. He would miss time. He'd come back, get pushed to the moon. Stone Cold broke his neck, came back, got pushed to the moon. I mean, there's any number of people that you can point to.
Exceptions to the rule. Triple H, Stone Cold being one of the two of those exceptions. But, I mean, like to your talk about Seth Rollins, really, can you say that he got pushed to the moon? I mean, he was basically, and you're just looking at it from, a standpoint of he was the WWE champion. He was the man. And then he comes back, wins it in just a way to do some stupid thing where they just pass the title off twice so all the Shield could have it.
All the Shield members having it, yep.
Yeah, and then after that, he's had a couple matches, but he really hasn't sniffed the title picture.
I guess you could say that.
Long time. He's Intercontinental champ.
That's right.
He's done wonders with the title. I'm not knocking that, but can you say when you are on top and you are the world champ, and then you come back and you're not mid card? I'm not disrespecting saying he's a mid carder, but
right.
You're fighting for the mid card titles. Can you say that you've really reestablished that push that you had?
I would say so, simply because I feel like he's stayed in the main event picture, even though he hasn't been, because let's face it, the reason, or part of the reason at least, that he hasn't gotten back into the Universal title picture is because there was no fucking Universal title picture. It was on Brock Lesnar and he was gone forever. So really the main title on Raw became the Intercontinental title, and he was in that picture. He's in the whole feud with the Shield and Ziggler and Braun Strowman going on right now. He's stayed close to the top. But even if you're right, and I'm not discounting what you're saying, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I think it's
the difference between what's happened to Seth Rollins since coming back from his injury and what's happened to Finn Balor since coming back from his is night and day. You talk about a guy who hasn't sniffed the top.
And I think that might play into it because, say what you will, and I know Brooke's going to hate this, but Finn Balor's not proven in the WWE system.
And that's in Bobaruski says that.
He's proven in NXT, but not in the WWE system. So he gets hurt. The first big push they give him, it can make him kind of leery about giving him another push. I wouldn't say that if they should have done what they did, which is double down on the not pushing and more pushing down. It's sad when, I think Apollo Crews and Titus Worldwide, before they got taken off or they weren't on TV, had more screen time than Finn Balor.
Right. And, hey, look, shout out to a couple of guys because Smart Spot over here dropping some major super hearts. Thank you to those guys. The Smart Spot podcast. You can find them online as well. And our boy Lit Mantis from the Dr. Huge show. Mantis. He will be on Dr. Huge's show tomorrow. At least he's usually on Fridays. I don't know, Dr. Huge, sometimes things go wonky and, things go wonky. That's the way it goes. But usually on the Friday shout-out show, you can catch Lit Mantis at Dr. Huge Show. So check them out as well. And also want to send a shout-out we already did to our boys from Get the Tables. They will be on after us tonight at 9 p.m. at
Watch It.
Get the Tables. So check those guys out as well. And listen, I mentioned this on Twitter earlier, and I want to say this here on the show as well. I see a lot of people putting out stuff for their Patreon pages and things like that.
Sorry.
And some people, what's up? And some people will say, there's too many Patreon pages, blah, 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 blah. Look, if you're a regular viewer of any of these shows that we talk about, whether it's Dr. Huge's show, whether it's Smart Spot, whether it's Smart to Death, whether it's Get the Tables, if you could pitch in a couple bucks to these folks' Patreon, it makes such a huge difference, just like it makes such a huge difference to us. We talk about the tip jar we've got here, tinyurl.com/SB tip jar. A couple folks have gone over there, pitched in a few bucks. You guys pitching in with the super hearts. Guys, it makes such a big difference. It really does. And there's a lot of time and effort and money that goes into putting on these shows. So if you've got it, if you could spare a couple bucks here and there to help out some of your podcasters. We don't have a Patreon on our show, but we talk about a lot of different shows that do. So a lot of you who are regulars here are regulars over there as well. So consider doing that, guys. It really does make a big difference. And you might just say a couple bucks is no big deal, but it really does go a long way. So I get off my soapbox there, but it felt like saying that out loud because it's worth saying. A lot of people put a lot of money and time into these shows.
Facts.
So we kind of got sidetracked. Now I want to get to a couple of these comments about Mac Diesel saying, "Tip, I give you the whole thing, baby." Oh, there it is. A little late on the sound effects there. Slee says, "What's up?" I want to get to these Seth Rollins comments. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Seth Rollins is over. He's ebbing and flowing. Vince lost trust in Balor when he got injured after they put the strap on him, which is, lit Mantis saying that. Seth Rollins is the man, says Dr. Huge. Yeah, here's the thing. I totally agree. Seth Rollins has proven over the years he can do the deal. He can be your guy. And I see that Vince obviously has faith in him to be the guy because while he hasn't gotten all the way back up to the top yet, he's certainly been in the main event picture for quite some time, and you got to figure he's probably going to stay there for a while if he keeps doing what he's doing. Now, we kind of got sidetracked on what got us to this conversation. We were talking about the Bullet Club and specifically about Jay White joining the OG Bullet Club. Now, kind of mixed reviews on this. Some people seem to really love it. A couple of folks here and there were kind of like, I don't know. Jay White seems to be better when he's off on his own. Because even though he was, Chaos prior to this.
But, I mean,
he wasn't necessarily like, he wasn't always coming out like, I'm repping Chaos, blah, 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 blah.
But if you follow it, it was his whole point. He joined Chaos the day after he rejected the Bullet Club. Which set up him beating Omega for the U.S. title was Omega called him out to join the Bullet Club, gave him the shirt, then he hit him with the Blade Runner, took the shirt off. And, so he was like, I'm not stupid to fight Bullet Club by myself. So that's why he got with Chaos. But he told Okada right then and there, I'm going to be coming from you in the future.
Right. And for those of you that don't know and don't follow New Japan, you probably still heard of Kenny Omega, obviously IWGP heavyweight champion. Prior to that, he was the IWGP United States champion. And the guy who beat him for that title was Jay White, Switchblade Jay White. He's a fantastic heel over in New Japan. He's one of the best going today. He really, really is good. He's not a super flippy guy.
I mean, but actually, it's funny watching like some of the old stuff, like when he was in Ring of Honor, and he was a very flippy guy.
But he's gotten away from that, and I feel like he's better off as a result.
Yes, he is.
And he knows how to get heat. He knows how to turn the crowd against him. He's just really, really solid. So
I mean, it was pretty brutal beatdown too when they came out and they beat up Okada and like Yoshihashi came in and he hit him, threw a chair in his head, in his face, and then went out there and wiped his blood and just like wiped it on him like a war paint and stuff.
Which is pretty cool. I'm always a fan of that.
Yeah, so he did all that, and then that's when he was about to hit Okada, and that's Gato, which for those who don't know, Gato's like the one who basically gets credit for almost discovering Okada, bringing Okada to this point. And then Gato turned on him because they felt that he wasn't representing what they wanted to do.
And who's the booker over at New Japan?
Gato.
Exactly. So he's got that going.
Nice
for
guy,
him as
though.
Well. But it looks like a very cool turn for Jay White. A very cool. I don't want to say turn, but him reteaming with the Bullet Club after initially saying, I don't want any part of this, I think is pretty cool because the Bullet Club has changed so much. Again, I'm kind of over the whole Bullet Club thing. I'm over the New Japan, everybody having to be in a faction, because then we keep getting faction versus faction, 8-man tag team matches and 6-man tag team matches and all that bullshit.
I mean, you're still going to get that if there was no factions.
You probably would, but it just seems like it wouldn't be as bad. But as long as the Bullet Club doesn't go the NWO route, which I really fear that they're heading in that direction.
I don't see them splitting off any from here.
I hope not.
Like, I think that, like I said earlier, I think eventually Bullet Club Elite goes away and they just become the Elite. And then you'll have the Bullet Club, the Elite, your Chaos, LIJ, and Taguchi.
And we did have a new LIJ member as well.
Yes.
It was
Shingo.
Neville, unfortunately. It was not our boy Pac, those of you who are following him on the indie circuit now. But can't get everything you want. We'll see. Yeah. I still think he shows up there sooner or later. Hopefully, anyway. It would be nice for him to have that platform. So, still time to get in on the phone lines, folks. If you want to call us, 832-937-4559.
That's 832-93-SILKY.
So, we've talked a little bit about things that we're doing here to try to get the word out, trying to get those YouTube subscribers up, all that kind of stuff. We also got some pretty sweet giveaways coming up soon.
Yes.
We've been talking about this, Silky and I, for the last couple of weeks because we got Evolution coming up. So we got all kinds of autograph gear from the ladies.
Yes.
Got some autograph gear from Sasha Banks. Got some autograph stuff from Charlotte.
Yes. Sasha Banks. I like that.
See, between Sasha Reigns and Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks and all this shit.
And Silky Banks.
And Silky Banks. I get all the names fucked up now. it fucks me up. So thank you very much for the Super Hearts. Young Raph. Shout out to Young Raph. Young Reezy, as he's sometimes called. Glad to have you here with us.
Don't ever do that.
Pac, that's just what it says. It says Young Reezy. Am I right?
No, but you do. No, that sounded very, very.
So do I have to say it?
Say it what?
Like the rappers, like the homies. Young Reezy, what's up, Young Reezy? What's up, dude?
That's horribly racist.
You love it's not racist.
It is a racial stereotypical of how a rapper black.
Why's it got to be a black rapper?
Because
why couldn't it be Eminem? Racist asshole, Silky. Come on.
Because you knew that's what you were thinking. That's why you went. Don't let this man fool you. He did that on purpose.
That's right. That's exactly right. All right. They didn't push him, Silky. That's the problem. I think we're still talking about Finn Balor over there. She's still upset about Finn Balor. See, Young Raph thinks you're hilarious. He thinks it's a bunch of bullshit what you're talking about.
No, he thinks that I'm totally right.
We got to get to some somewhat more serious news, but I wanted to get everybody's opinion on this because I teased it earlier on the Twitters when I put out the tweet for tonight's show that there's a potential issue with this WWE show that's coming up in Saudi Arabia. And for those of you that don't follow, and look, we don't get into politics on this show because we just don't. By the way, you guys have come ridiculously strong on the Super Hearts today. Looks like we're at 25,000 Super Hearts just for today. You guys are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Awesome.
So thank you for that. It's absolutely outstanding. I'm not going to stop, Bob Baruski. You know you like it.
Despite his horrible, stereotypical black voice.
It's not stereotypical.
It's very
and why did it have to be a black voice?
That's what you were doing.
You went there and said
that's what you were doing.
Voice.
You were 100% doing that. Don't act like you weren't.
I was doing a rapper voice, and not all rappers are black, Silky. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. But I want to get to this Saudi show because I mentioned this to Silky earlier, and I'm seeing more and more about this Jamal Khashoggi, and I hope I'm saying his name. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but that's how it's spelled anyway. The Washington Post reporter who disappeared over in Saudi Arabia. And for those of you that don't know, and again, we're not going to get deep into politics here because honestly, I don't give a shit what your political leanings are. We're here to talk about wrestling, and that's what we talk about. Yes. We have a good time. We keep it light for the most part.
Yeah, we do.
But occasionally things come up and feel like it's worth talking
about. Chris voted for Trump.
This... Who is this calling me? You know that I have a show going on. Stop calling me when we got the show going on. Anyway.
Word. It was Donald Trump.
This reporter...
God damn. Really?
This reporter lives in Virginia. He is a journalist for the Washington Post, and he traveled over to Saudi Arabia where he unfortunately disappeared. And no one has seen or heard from him since. And he was last seen going into, I believe, the Saudi consulate. It might have been over in Turkey, actually, as opposed to Saudi Arabia. Anyway, this guy has disappeared, and the word is, and there's no confirmation of it yet, we're trying to get some answers, but apparently the word is that this journalist quite possibly may have been murdered by the Saudis because he had come out and was very critical of the new Saudi regime in the media, talking about how despite all of the things that we keep hearing about, like WWE coming to Saudi Arabia and them trying to be more progressive and change some of the things that they've done in the past, this guy being critical of them may have in fact led to him at least disappearing, number one. but quite possibly even being killed. Now, if the word comes out, Silky, that the Saudis did in fact murder this journalist who, again, is not an American citizen. He's an American resident. He lives or lived in Virginia, journalist for the Washington Post, that apparently was allegedly lured overseas under the guise of having some discussions and may very well have been killed as a result. My question to all of you listening and to Silky, you specifically, what does this do to the Saudi show? Because not having women on your show, and I was very critical of the WWE for agreeing to do the Saudi Arabia show when the women were not allowed to come. And at the end of the day, I understand it's a business. It was a large chunk of money that they didn't want to turn down.
McDuck. And
that's fine. And I can live with that. Can you, I'm asking this to our listeners and to you, Silky, specifically, can you justify the WWE still going over there and doing this event if, in fact, this guy was murdered by the Saudi government, or do you feel like this is a PR nightmare waiting to happen?
I mean, there's no good solution to this. I mean, because this is a business, you know what I mean? So I don't want to sound heartless, but there are contracts signed that and legal ramifications if they pull out of this show.
Agreed.
But there's also implications on the American side of your fan base, not just like a monetary sum of you getting sued. Like, people stop watching because that's almost like it's almost like you condone it. Like, okay, I know this, you guys did that, but you didn't do it to us, so I'm gonna still do this show.
And that's,
I mean, it's a horrible position but I mean, I take the lawsuit over that because, I mean, that's just not how you do business. I mean,
and again, I mentioned this before about the women not being able to go, and I wasn't a fan of that. And I understood that it's a business. I understood that
he's savage. Not American, not our problem.
And look, England JT says he's not an American citizen. It's not our problem. There are certainly people who feel that way. Adam Awesome says there's plenty of reasons not to go to Saudi Arabia besides this. And Young Raph, you're correct. You can't let personal issues get in the way of business. Now, here's the thing.
The point we're making is that there's no wrong answer. It's all right. You're right to feel however you feel about it.
That's true. And I'm going to play devil's advocate to those of you saying this is a personal issue and you can't let that get in the way of business. Because I believe that if they do go on with this show, one thing that they have to take into account is that if this does turn into an absolute shitstorm, and everybody's going nuts about everything that happened potentially, if it did actually happen, you have to think of it from a business perspective in terms of, am I going to lose advertisers here in the States because they're going to say, fuck you guys. If you're going to go over there to a country that murders people, that murders journalists who reside here in the United States and go over there under the guise of having a discussion and are kidnapped and killed, then we're not going to fucking support your show anymore. And WWE is not in the business of losing money. Guys do not become millionaires by being in the business of losing money. So I understand Vince McMahon saying, fuck it, we're going to do the show anyway. But this is far more likely to cause more far-reaching ramifications against WWE than just not going because they didn't allow women. And I feel like there are advertisers and there are people here in the States and there are people on Twitter and the social justice warriors, as they're called sometimes online, will go absolutely apeshit if this show goes on. And so I really do feel like WWE is in an insanely tough spot here because, again, you can understand where they've come from. You can understand them making a business decision. But I don't think it's a black and white business decision. Do we take the money from Saudi Arabia and do the show? Or do we not take the money from Saudi Arabia and do the show? Because if you take that money now, you might be losing that money later if the shit hits the fan.
You better believe what they're going to do is weigh out the cost of getting sued by the Saudi government for pulling out of this contract they made versus the cost that they're going to lose by American sponsors or sponsors in general that say they're going to pull out if they go to the show. And whichever is more, like if they're making more money than they're going to lose, they'll probably still do the show. If they're going to lose more money on the sponsorships, then they'll say, fuck it, I'll take this lawsuit. I'm going to keep my sponsorships.
See, and I'm
and
curious.
They're WWE, so they'll land on their feet. It's like back in the day, remember, I think it's overshadowed by the whole Kennedy getting fired. But remember, they were supposed to do the show in Denver. They're supposed to do a Raw in Denver. And then what happened is Denver was in the playoffs, so they didn't want them to, even though they weren't playing that night, they didn't want them to let them use the arena.
Right.
Because the next day they had a game.
Right.
So they switched and did it in L.A.
Right.
Because L.A. was like, okay, that's fine.
Come on.
And so they did the heels were wearing the Nuggets jerseys and the faces were wearing the thing. My point I'm making with that is that they will fall on their feet, because I guarantee you right now, as we're talking, they've probably got different venues from all over the world.
No, I totally agree.
Australia wasn't the only one. I mean, and neither is Saudi. So they'll find some other exotic location to do a show on a moment's notice if they need to pull out of this show and promote Crown Jewel as being, instead of from Saudi Arabia, from Europe or Russia or wherever the fuck.
Right.
Well, probably not Russia.
And I'm with you, because
climate, but
they'll land on their feet. I read extensively
so
on
I
the
don't really
mid-90s.
think it's going to hurt them. I'm saying that to say I don't think it's really going to hurt them, because they'll find a way to probably make even more money by pulling out and going somewhere else.
That's the thing. I mean, I was going to say about the mid-90s steroid scandal. That rocked WWE big time. And the mid-90s was a horrible time for Vince and company. They came out the other side okay. And I think they'll do the same here.
Yeah.
But people who are likening this to, well, okay, first they didn't allow women and now this is so much a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And this could potentially blow up in ways that I don't think maybe the average fan is thinking about it. That's why I was curious to hear everybody's take, because it's all about those advertising dollars. And when you're getting ready to make that big jump over to the networks, you don't want to be losing advertisers at this point.
Exactly.
You don't want people saying, you don't want people
deal on Fox. Yeah, no, you don't.
You don't want people pulling that money out.
Fuck
Definitely
that.
not.
I'd be on the phone with every big exotic location, that we have not done a show at, or we haven't done a lot of shows at.
It's
and I'd be trying to set up to do there.
Adam Awesome says Vince is promoting the murder of gay people and Yemenis people by making a deal with the Saudis. I don't know if he's promoting it.
He meant condoning.
Oh, condoning. I'm sorry. Thank you. Condoning. But
I mean, that's a little bit different, I think.
I don't think by having a show in a country, you automatically say, I agree with everything that goes on in this country.
I mean, by that logic, then that shit happens here too. So by running shows here, he is doing the same thing. So
Bobaruski says money makes the world go round, and that's all they both care for. I mean, even our own government deals. And for those of you, even Donald Trump has said, Saudi spend a lot of money for me personally and my businesses and for here in the States. Why would I hate them? It's not an American citizen. It's not something that we need to concern ourselves with. There are people who agree and disagree. Again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how they should feel about it. I just think that this is a huge potential problem for the WWE if this does in fact turn out to be a situation where an American resident goes overseas. He is an employee of one of the most well-respected newspapers and journalist sites in the country, and if he's murdered by members of a government that is then going to host an American business in their country, that's a problem. And anybody who thinks it's not a problem, I'm afraid there's going to be a rude awakening, because this could be very, very bad. Get the Table says, what would you guys do? Look, I said it before when we were talking about the thing with the women. I said I would love to believe that I would want to have that conversation with the women on my roster and go in there and say, you know what, we're getting paid shit tons of money, but you can't come with us. And I know we're talking women's revolution. I know we're talking blah, 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 blah. And that I would say, no, we wouldn't do the show. More than likely, if I was in that position, I probably would have done the show anyway. When it comes to the women.
On the women, I 100% would have.
On this one right here, I got to tell you guys, if it comes out that the Saudis actually did murder this guy, and again, this is just allegations. This is what some of the high-ranking Republicans in our government are saying. We don't know it to be true. If in fact that's the case, I don't do this show. Yeah. Fuck the money. I don't do this show, because I think at some point you got to draw the line, and at some point you got to say, you know what? The money's not worth it.
Yeah.
The money's not worth it. And that's my God's honest opinion, guys.
And if it is, like you say, this turns out is true, just as easily as it happened to that guy, it could happen to you guys.
That's exactly right.
You got heels and faces in wrestling. You've got people whose sole job it is to piss off fans. So who's to say, your top heel gets lured there and then he ends up missing and murdered, and then it's going to be a big problem, right? So I think you should just blanket across the board. It's not okay. And if this happened and you guys, honestly, if it was me and I had that level of money, I would have pulled out the show already. Like, I'm not even waiting to see if it turns out they did it. I mean, it's just kind of like the Enzo case. The accusation is worse, even if you didn't do it.
That's
the
right.
Fact that
they didn't even fuck around with Enzo. They were like, get out of here. Boom. Now, Enzo wasn't giving them tens of millions of dollars.
No, he wasn't. But, I mean, still the point is that, they didn't even wait to see if he did it.
No, they didn't fuck around with that at all.
Because the longest, if it came down, all they're thinking of is the PR nightmare. If it came out and he got found guilty and they knew about the fact that this was going on and they were still employing him, still paying him, it's almost like they're saying they condone what he did.
Yeah, and in this day and age, guys, it's just
in this day and age, it's
a huge problem.
Huge. Like, I think that the accusations, like I said before on the show, the bell can't be unrung.
That's right.
So I think you just pull up shop. Like I say, you call Australia maybe, or they just did one in Australia. I'd find some fucking local.
Oh, there's any number of people who would leap at the opportunity.
Do it in fucking
to
Rome
do that show.
Or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that they wouldn't find another spot to do it. And I'll be honest with you, even if they just flat out said, we're canceling the show altogether, and they didn't do the card at all, like they just said, fuck it, we're not even doing it, I'd even be okay with that more than I would go to Saudi Arabia and still do this show. I just think
I would
it's a potential nightmare.
Or bring it back home and find some venue on short notice, big venue, because, I mean, you've got to do this on almost like a WrestleMania type stadium with all the people you're bringing in, all the stuff you're putting into it. You've already advertised it, so you can't dial back if you're going to pull the show from Saudi and bring it back to America. You can't dial back and start unbooking people.
No, I don't think you would.
The best thing to do is double down and, like I say, go to AT&T Stadium.
Yeah,
to see if you can get
and you don't even have to go that big. Yeah, and if it's going to be short notice, you don't feel like you can get that many people there.
I'm sure it's WWE on a notice. They filled out the Staples Center, which granted is not as big as AT&T.
See, that's what I'm saying. But if you go to a regular Raw arena where you're selling 15,000 tickets, I think that's fine. I think if you start biting off more than you can chew and try to sell 60,000 tickets to this thing, that ain't gonna happen.
I think it will.
That's just my opinion.
I think it could.
Know.
I mean, I may be reaching with AT&T saying over 100,000, but definitely one of the biggest 60,000 they could sell like that. I guarantee you.
We'll see.
They put it on today that Reliant is going to host the Crown Jewel. I guarantee you it will sell out.
We'll see, man. I think that's a lofty expectation, but
it's
we
not
never know.
Because of the fact that, one, their name recognition, and two, it's such a big event. You're talking about the return of fucking Shawn Michaels, and
that's fair.
You're talking about this World Cup thing. So Angle's return to singles competition.
Yeah, I just
John Cena.
I don't know, man.
You're putting a lot of money in this. You telling me you don't think any of them could sell out the Reliant Arena or
no,
Reliant?
Not on short notice like that.
Yes,
no.
I believe, and then I believe people will even drive and make flights to come. See, that's where they're losing or they're gaining because obviously none of us are going to fly to Saudi to watch this show, but you put that in Reliant.
Fucking period. Where
right now I ain't flying Saudi, but way they're doing it. If they did it in Reliant, I guarantee you people from here, people from Dallas, San Antonio, people are going to come from all over to see this show.
Well, we might find out sooner rather than later, I should say, what's going to happen because, again, I just feel like things could get ugly here in a hurry. And it's one of those things that, I'm with Brooke. She says she doesn't talk about politics. I don't generally talk about politics. We certainly don't talk about it on the show, but when it's directly related to what's going on with the biggest wrestling company in the world, You got to kind of bring it up. So thank you guys.
Bumming me down.
No, and that's what I was going to say. Thank you guys for allowing us to talk to it because I feel like it's something newsworthy that needed to get out there, and I appreciate everybody being civil about it. It's nice to have a conversation about these types of things, and
you guys are great.
Not end up at each other's throats. So we're getting close to the top of the hour here, Silky. So it's about time for us to wind it up.
A lot of our time with that.
No, but it's a worthy conversation.
I mean, it was worthy, but now we don't have time to talk about something to get the, to bring the mood up.
Well, we're going to bring the mood up by talking about the badasses who are still here with us that dropped about 20,000+ super hearts on us. Is it 27? Let's get a last shout out here.
27,057 super hearts.
And counting. So
you guys are awesome.
Thank all of you guys for being amazing and dropping all the super hearts today. We very much appreciate that. We're getting close now. We're about maybe 130,000 super hearts. We're getting close to being the super broadcasters over on Periscope, man.
Boom.
That's where they start sending some money to your boys here. So that's a great thing. That's amazing.
Because these bills need to get paid. And also, you want to chip in there, leave a tip.
tinyurl.com/SB tip jar. Big weekend for the benchmark coming up.
Boom.
3 stages of hell match. Sell it to him, Silky.
3 stages of hell. I'm going to beat him up so bad.
And him being?
T-Ray.
T-Ray. The best kept secret in Texas?
Well, I mean,
we'll see about
nobody really cares. That's why he's a secret. So, fuck that guy. And anyway, and then October 20th, I will be in Corpus Christi, Texas, wrestling Pitbull Rue for the VPW Heavyweight Championship in a casket match.
Casket match, 3 stages of hell match. The benchmark is doing it all, folks. If you want to see this weekend's show, check them out online. DZWrestling.com is the website, at DZ Wrestling on Twitter. And we thank you so much for being with us. So, for the benchmark, Silky Baines.
Yo.
Chris Bezak, thank you guys for being with us here on the Speez and the Benchmark Show. We will see you Monday night after Monday Night Raw. Thank you so much for being with us. Good night, everybody.